Hi, my name is Tyler, and I want to talk a bit about the twin turbo kit for the VQ37 from Enthusiast Auto Care. I want to share my experience of what the process is like to buy the turnkey solution and have Enthusiast Auto Care install it. I'm not the first person to have the kit installed, but I haven't seen a video on what the whole process is like, so here I am. We love our Z and G series cars. They're fantastic. But what do we do when we want just a little more power or when we're wondering how can we take it to the next level? Especially when you live in California. Your options for staying naturally aspirated and making more power in California is extremely limited. So when California residents go looking for more power, how they can accomplish that, they find the answer is boost. So what do we have available? We have the Stillen supercharger and the EAC twin turbo kit. And if you've looked them up, you know they cost about as much as your car. So if you've been weighing this solution in your head for a while and you're really unsure, you should definitely watch this video all the way through because I'm going to go through the entire process from delivering the car, or actually before that, to going to the dyno and seeing the numbers it puts down. Buying the kit itself is pretty easy, and it's actually part of the whole experience. I'll say it many times. If you have any questions about the kit, additional modifications for the build, expectations, or absolutely anything else related to your Z or G, you should definitely contact Enthusiast Auto Care. Eugene's default mode is to educate the interested party every step of the way. Can I make X power? What about traction? Anything about the potential build is great to ask about in pre-sales and throughout the build. You will become more and more educated about each of these aspects of the vehicle and the build and their contributing components from end to end. I apologize, I am camera shy, so this is a bit of a slideshow, but I promise there is video coming. After the purchase is made, EAC will work with you to schedule a time for you to bring the car in. If you can drive it to the shop, great. If not, they will work with shipped cars. I was even a week into COVID, and Eugene said, bring it in on schedule. I masked up, and he stood at the other end of the shop and shouted instructions at me. Open the hatch, lower the windows, remove the passenger headrest, etc., etc. Then I wiped everything down with sanitizer and talked to him from across the street. It's kind of funny thinking back about how that went down, but we decided right at that point to swap the diff for the wave track and add Stillen sway bars. At about half after midnight that next morning, I got a text from Eugene with a picture of the car on the lift and the engine on the stand. I wasn't expecting progress that soon, but it turns out they were way more excited about the build than I probably was, all the way up until I got it back. Over the next few weeks, I got many updates. Sometimes it felt like Eugene was building his own car and showing it off to me. But these updates were anything from progress on the car to items of concern. Valve cover gaskets, O2 sensors, leaking, high mileage, anything that needed to be replaced or would be good to replace while the engine was out. They brought it up. I got a hilarious video of Hugo, who is an excellent mechanic, taking a grinder to one of the brackets. I was not expecting to see someone grinding away on the engine, but the build makes for a tight fit, and they do fantastic work. I got status updates and pictures of the engine in various stages of the build. Also, whether it was the transmission shop, the fabricator, powder coating shop, I'm pretty sure I was given updates within minutes of anything changing. I felt very in the loop for the build. One of my favorite updates was a shot of the Z34 chassis hovering over the absolute unit of the VQ37 TT build, ready to be mounted back up. I'm used to working on smaller four-cylinder imports back in the 90s, like the 4G63 and the RB20. So the stack size is just wild to me. When you tell people the car's twin turbo, they get excited. They want to see it. There's not really much to show though. If they don't know what a bypass or recirculating valve is and looks like, they think the car was stock. You might have to put them in the passenger seat to make them believe you. And believe you, they will. The last step of the build is to get it on the dyno and find out what kind of power you're making. This is the part that you've been waiting for. If you are local enough to drive the car to the dyno location yourself, I highly recommend doing so. The mountain highway is beautiful, the drive is enjoyable, and the scenery at the other end is just fantastic. I caution you though, the posted speeds for corners are serious and should be followed regardless of your suspension setup. And now here are the videos I promised.
And that's a lot of smoke. All sorts of new parts getting baked in. Lots of carcinogens in the air. I love that smell. The amount of time that you're making more power is what makes the biggest difference, because it really changes how the car drives.